Thank you. Good evening. So I was thinking, how could I, during my speech, elegantly and with excellence, push my new book, Excellence Wins, but I couldn't come up with something elegant, so we'll leave with that. So I went to Mayo Clinic for a checkup, this typical executive checkup. And I said, I can feel something here. And they said, no, it's really nothing. But I was thinking about it, so I called another doctor's appointment, and I went for the checkup. And they did the ultrasound. And that night, the doctor called me and he said, we have to operate on Monday. So I said, wait a minute, what is this all about now? Well, you have a tumor the size of a grapefruit, and on Monday we have to operate. I'm telling a story why I'm here. And I said, it can't be. And so they operated. And it turned out, they said a couple of days later, they told me, this is a cancer. It's operated, but it always comes back within a year as a snowstorm, always. And in fact, we have to take, in a few days, we have to take a scan and see if it is back already. And so on Monday, after a week after the operation, they took a CAT scan to see if it is back already. They said it always comes back, very rare cancer. And they told me on Monday after the scan that they would give us the results, which I think is crazy, on Thursday. We have a hard time after Monday until Thursday because, let me tell you something. On Wednesday night, Sherry and I, my wife, were lying on the floor praying. As my friend walked in, John walks in and said, hey guys, he's one of those guys who is his temper is the exact opposite of me. His temper goes about like that, and mine goes like that. So. And he said, hey guys, how are you doing? How am I doing? Terribly. And he said, well, can I share with you something, a vision that I had before I knew that you had cancer? And Sherry immediately said, if it's not of Jesus, we don't want to know. He said, no, it is. And he said he woke up at 3:33 in the night. I don't know why that had a meaning. But 3:33 in the morning, there he woke up, and he knew there's a presence in his room. And that presence told him, don't worry about your friend Horst. He's telling us that now. Don't worry about your friend Horst. I have different plans for him. He will speak for me in English and in German. And since that time, I'm consistently invited to make speeches. In fact, last year in Germany, 16,000 people in a Christian Leadership Conference. I was there 20 years ago. There were about 40 people. There were 16,000, very encouraging. And I started negotiating with God that I needed 15 more years. I had a daughter that was 1.5, 5, and 9. Imagine looking at them and being told you have a year before it comes back as a snowstorm. Believe me, suddenly the relationship with God is a totally different one. All ego is gone. All pretense are gone. All ambition is gone. The world that is a ring around you and sometimes doesn't let God in. That's gone and God is there. And the relationship can never be deeper. And he said I would make speeches, and that's probably why I'm here today, to make that speech. By the way, that was 25 years ago. Okay. So, a year. And incidentally, I made a speech to to John Hopkins the other day, and I was sitting beside, over a year ago. I was sitting beside the chief oncologist for dinner, and I told him that I had this cancer. He said, "That's not possible, you wouldn't be sitting here." And we started nearly arguing. And he said, well, 25 years ago, the diagnostics were different. And he said, "Where were you operators at Piedmont in Atlanta?" And he said, "What treatment did you have afterwards?" I said, "I just 2 treatments. I went and I died. I refused chemo. If I was told it'd come back anyway, why would I do chemo?" So I did 2 things. I went my niece and Sherry and I went on a special diet. And he said, "It's just not possible. Nobody has survived that cancer." So finally he said, "Well, maybe Piedmont still have the slides. Send them in to me and we'll check it what it was really, what it really was." We sent him in and he called me back and said, "I didn't know anybody survived that cancer." It was the kind of cancer that I told him to have. And I negotiated at that time with God for 15 more years, and it's 25, so thank you, Lord. But and in the meantime, I kept on working. And I started to for some reason, I got more and more invitation to speeches, and I tried to minister a little bit during my speeches, no matter to whom I speak. I was recently in Africa, by the way, in Ghana, in Uganda, and Swaziland, and South Africa, and made about 20 speeches in about 15 days. The fascinating thing, I spoke to business groups, government. I spoke in Uganda. I spoke to nearly all ministries, from education to sport to everybody. Every meeting in Africa started with a prayer and ended with a prayer. And then I spoke in New York. Well, okay. So, anyway, let me to tell a little bit the story. I know most people they want to know the story about Ritz-Carlton and so on. But really the story from my business story started when I was 11 years old, growing up in a small village in Germany after the war. I've never left that village really. There was no hotel in that village. There was not even a restaurant. There was a beer house over there, and we have never been in a restaurant or never been in a hotel before. But for some reason, when I was 11 years old, I went to my parents and I said, "I want to work in the hotel business." They said, "Okay." But I kept on saying it. I kept on saying, pretty soon, that's not something you did in Germany at the time. That was embarrassing nearly if you would have done that. You went into a technical job. If I would have said, "I want to be an engineer," my parents would have danced on the table. Or architect or something, or carpenter. That was all that was honorable. But work in a hotel, I kept on insisting on it and begging and crying for it. So my parents inquired how to proceed if I want to have a career in the hotel business. So they said, "Well, you have to find the best hotel that you can where he would start as a dishwasher or whatever." So sure enough, they found a job. But unfortunately, it was about 100 kilometers away. At that time, that was very far. 100 kilometers away. But it was the best hotel in the region by far. So as my parents took me there, my mother took me there, but my parents told me for days. Now, when you go there, once you're there, this is a hotel for very important ladies and gentlemen. Wouldn't be for, we could never go there. Behave yourself accordingly. And of course, with all the admonishment, the mother would give you, wash your underwear, wash your hair, take a shower, and so on. And very important, ladies and gentlemen, when I got there, the general manager basically told us the same thing. "You are here to serve. The guests are very important, ladies and gentlemen." But I was also welcomed by the maitre d' of the hotel. An exceptional human being, truly an exceptional human being, a major impact in life. He told me the first day, "Don't come to work from now on. When you come here to create excellence in what you're doing." But I went over my head, of course, I was 14. Come here to create excellence in washing dishes, cleaning floors, cleaning ashtrays. That was my job. And I went on. Now, typical upbringing, on Wednesdays we went to school. hotel school. All the kids from the area come to have hotel school. That's typical German upbringing. And then you go back to work after school. After 2 years, the teacher in my class told us, write an essay as to what you now think about the hotel business, now that you're in it for 2 years. And I was thinking, going back 3 pages, I go back contemplating what would I write. As I worked in the restaurant, cleaned the table over here, I could feel the maitre d', and when he entered the room, you could feel it. He had a presence that is indescribable nearly. It would have never entered unless he looked perfect. He was perfect in everything he did, including our teaching. And he kept on reminding us, you don't work. You create excellence in what you're doing. That day, and then I turned around as I saw him come in, and he approached the table. Now, mind you, dear ladies and gentlemen, and we are nothing. That was very clear. That was told us. But when he approached that table, it was very clear that the people on that table were proud that he came to them. And I realized that's true all around. Everybody, every guest, they always think he's the most important person. And so did we, the employees, thought he's the most important. As I contemplated that and wrote my essay, I realized that he defined himself as a gentleman, as a person of excellence by what he was doing. And said, wow, I can do that. So I named my essay, We Are Ladies and Gentlemen, Serving Ladies and Gentlemen, which when I started Ritz-Carlton, I made that the motto of the company. In our business, it became world famous. We are ladies and gentlemen, serving ladies and gentlemen, and every employee is a lady or a gentleman. So I finished there. I worked in the finest hotels in Europe, really. Plaza Arden in Paris, the Savoy London, Bourgeois Palace in Lausanne, Bellevue Palace in Bern, etc., etc. As I worked through these finest hotels and finally came to the United States, started in room service in San Francisco. And when as I started there, the thought was, I'm going to go back in a year. I soon realized that being a large hotel, the room service supervisors got easily promoted into other jobs in the restaurants and so on, which opened the job for the waiters to get promoted to room service supervisors. I decided the next promotion will be mine. I knew I was the best waiter there. I clearly knew it. I know years had gone by since my apprenticeship, but I clearly knew I was the best waiter. I had worked in the finest places in Europe. I was the best waiter in room service in the evening. By the way, I worked in a small restaurant, in a French restaurant. I knew I would get that job. Not only did I know I was the best waiter, the manager of room service was German, so I had an in, that was it. And then the promotion came, and I didn't get it. It shows how stupid management is, right? That went through my mind. It took me several months to admit, about 3 months, that I started to admit that the guy who got it deserved it more. You see, I was very young. I went out in the evening. I wasn't only tired when I came to work in the morning at 6 o'clock. It showed all the way. And I was sometimes a few minutes late. And he never did that. And when my boss said 2 days, I said, why me? Why not somebody else? He never did that. So I went back to my little apartment in the worst district in San Francisco. You can hardly walk through it now anymore. A little apartment, and I went back there, and I had a conversation with my old maitre d'. He had passed away in the meantime. But I had a conversation with him, and I said, forgive me. I didn't go to work to create excellence. I went to work to work. I'm so sorry. You taught me never to do that. But I went to work. That's why I didn't get this promotion. That's why, and he should have got it. I apologize, and I promise you, I promised him, right there, this will never, ever happen again in my life. From now on, it's excellence to go to work. Why waste my time to just go to work? Why not go to work to be excellence in what I'm doing? and define myself accordingly. And sure enough, I went to work, and the promotion happened, and the next promotion happened. I worked with Hilton. I got promoted through to food and beverage director. Give you a rough rundown. Joined Hyatt, became food and beverage director of the largest hotel in Hyatt. Became rooms director in that hotel. 2 years later, I was general manager. I made it a point to be the best and go to work to be excellent and enjoy the people around me, respect the people. And 2 years later, I was promoted to a large hotel. 2 years later, I was regional vice president of 10 hotels. 2 years later, I was vice president over 65 hotels in the United States. And had a great job. This was going to be my job. I have my golden handcuffs. We lived in Chicago. I loved Chicago. Was married to a fabulous woman, Sherry. I'm married over 40 years. I don't only love her, I'm still in love with her, by the way. That's my decision. Guys, that's a decision. Everything in life is a decision. I made a decision to be in love, not to just love. Everything, I made a decision there to create excellence from there on. So I went with Hyatt. Everything was great. Golden handcuffs, everything right. I was highly respected in the company, lived in the right city, had great friends. When we got the call and said there is people, developers and money people, they have 2 hotels construction in Atlanta, and they want to create their own brand. They need somebody to run the operations. I have no interest. Why are you talking to me? Well, you were recommended, and they said, you're the guy to do this. And I said, well, I have no interest, so forget it. Went to work, but he called again. And I started talking to Sherry, and I said, no, if I would take this job, what I would do is this and this. And I told her things what I would do, and I would build the greatest hotel company in the world if I would do it, and I could do it myself. Because they said operationally I could do what I want. I said, but then he called again. And I said, so finally that evening I said, please do not call me again. I'm never going to move to Atlanta. This is it. I went to work the next day, and something happened I could not really well live with. I came back to work, to home, and sure enough, they called again. And I said, yeah, we'll talk. In the meantime, Sherry, my wife, was praying feverishly because she could sense, because my constant talking about that I had a certain interest there. Feverishly that the door would close or door would open, and sure enough, this door closed, and a few months later, I moved to Atlanta. And the first week of January 1983. And a year later, we opened the first hotel, the Ritz-Carlton Bucket, which is not a Ritz-Carlton anymore. I went there for only one reason. My dream was this. If I'm allowed to do what I'm allowed to do, I would go and create the finest hotel company in the world. That was a vision. People should not live and work without vision. Your vision is the purpose of your working life. And of course, even the Bible says people will perish without purpose. I know we all have a higher purpose, but why would we limit our work to less than having a purpose? I clearly developed myself a purpose. The one dream, the reason why I would do everything to create the finest hotel company in the world. I started hiring people. And I told them in the beginning, don't come to work with me. Come to join a purpose. And here's the purpose. Everything we do and everything we think is to create the finest hotel company in the world. Well, of course, some of them laughed. They said, Horst, we don't have a hotel yet. My goodness. I said, that doesn't matter. This is the purpose of everything we're going to do. So people joined. And we sat down and said, how are we going to do this to create the finest hotel company in the world? Now, first of all, I had to understand our market. I clearly defined the market segment is the top market segment. And then we said, okay, what does that market want? If I am to my market, in my market segment, if you are in your market segment, more sufficient to your customers than the competition is, but otherwise they like your product more than they like the competition's product. If you do better for them. And at the same time, you're more efficient. It doesn't cost you more. So how am I going to be more sufficient and more efficient to my customer? Well, I have to know what my customer wants. If I know what my customer wants, so it is totally focused on your market. It's not what you want. It's not what you believe in your product. It's not what I believe. It's what they believe. So we started to make studies, and I bought a couple of studies. By the way, I bought them myself at the time because nobody understood that I had to have. They said, you have experience. Why would you buy knowledge? I thought you were the one, the expert. So I got a study from the University of Colorado, the behavioral science department. I started talking with them and worked with them a lot as we went on. What does my market want? I worked with another group, Yasovich group out of Florida. And so we finally understood what the market wanted. And this is fascinating. And we suddenly knew what you want when you come to a hotel. In fact, it became clear, no matter what we buy in life, your customer buys from you. I know what you want when you buy anything. So we started, so there is a subconscious expectation. And let's be very clear, the subconscious is stronger than the conscience. It's very important to understand that. There's a subconscious expectation when you buy anything at all. If it is a house or a car or a TV or a bottle of water for that matter. Let's stay with a bottle of water because you all have water around. What is your expectation when you buy a bottle of water? It's very simple. It is you want the product to be defect-free. You don't want anything to swim in there. You don't want it to leak. You're expecting subconsciously. You're not thinking about it, but that's what you expect. The other thing that you expect, that you get it when you want it. Not when they want to give it to you, but when you want it. Timeliness is of extreme importance. By the way, timeliness today is much more important than it was 20 years ago, or it's longer. We opened our first hotel in January 1985 in Bucket. At that time, we knew when somebody checked in during the rush hour, and it took no more than 4 minutes to wait for check-in. So we knew after 2 minutes, we came out with soft drinks, we talked to them so they wouldn't notice it took longer. We know today it's 20 seconds. In fact, I noticed myself when I went checking in today, when they didn't pay attention to me immediately, I was already nervous. It's 20 seconds. Timeliness has become extremely important. So what does the customer want? No defect and timeliness. What else do you want when you buy that bottle of water or anything else? You want a defect-free product. You want it when you want it. And you want the people who give it to you to be nice to you, which is called service, caring service. And by the way, it is the greatest driver of customer satisfaction. Get it. No matter what you think, not in your business, yes, in your business, in every business. In fact, Pricewaterhouse made a study this year. And they concluded that customer satisfaction, no matter what product is purchased, customer satisfaction is driven to 87% by the treatment they get, by the experience they had with the people that they were dealing with. In fact, 70% said that they're willing to pay more if they have the right experience and treatment for the same product that they would get somewhere else for less. That's how important customer satisfaction through caring and through relationship is. So we understood that now. Now we understood that is the expectation. In the meantime, I looked and thought, what it would be a great company? What is a great company? Well, a great company, is relatively simplistic, but that's what it's all about. You have to take all the difficult thing and put it into very simple norms. What is a great company? A great company, number one, keeps the customers they have. Number one, you keep the customers that you have. And you cannot encroach on that. And with number 2, 3, and 4, how do you get loyal customers that you have? Well, customer loyalty is nothing else but they trust you. They have developed trust in what you do. That's why they become loyal. By the way, there are 3 types of customers. They're the dissatisfied customers. They're terrorists against your company. They love to talk bad about you. Then there are the satisfied customers. They're satisfied. You are satisfied with what you got. But if next door you get a better deal, that's where you're going to go. And then there are the loyal customers, the ones that trust you, that want to deal with. And a great organization concentrates on that. That's number one concentration we had in our company, loyal customers. We measure that every month. I expect the top box that at least 92% say, I want to come back and I want to recommend you. And I measure that ongoing in every hotel. And if it slipped below, I talked with the regional vice presidents or with the general manager. If it kept on staying below, I said, watch out, I will go in the seat now. If it stays a 4 months, I moved into the hotel to correct the issue. And nobody liked that. Nobody. So number one, concentration was very clear. We keep the customer. Number 2, we find new customers. Number 3, we charge as much as we can. We get as much money from them as we can. Wait a minute, we're in business. Or wait a minute, without losing them. In other words, you're giving them value. And number 4, what you do is efficiency. Do it all efficiently. So we concentrated on that. Now, how am I going to keep the customer? By giving them the things that they like. Ongoing. But how am I going to make sure I'm giving them what they like? Because I'm not doing it. Because I'm sitting in the office. And there are maids, dishwashers, doormen, bellmen, waiters, cooks. They are really giving it. So, of course, I have to align the organization behind what we want to do. Now, these are the buzzwords today. Empowerment, alignment, and all those buzzwords. What is alignment? Alignment is simply if I'm thinking about Stephen Covey. When a group like that, when he spoke to a group like that, he always said, stand up, everybody. Why? Everybody point north. And of course, everybody pointed in a different direction. And that's what he said, that's typically how you all work together. Because you're not aligned. We make sure we had total alignment behind what we did. And we started that in selecting the right employees. Alignment is simply if every employee understands clearly, this is the vision, this is the purpose of the company. And we didn't hire people anymore. We invited people to join our purpose. Don't come to work here. Join us in this dream. We connected them. This is the dream that we have. And we want to be in that dream within the next 10 years. And the purpose, the motive of that dream is so we can grow, which means you can grow as an individual. The motive is so we will be respected. That means you will be respected. That we'll be honored, so you will be honored. And that we have better income, so you will have better income. We connected every employee to the purpose of the company and to the motive that we have, and connected them with their motive. That's how we brought people in. We didn't hire people anymore. We selected people. And finally, when they came to work, what did we do? We oriented them to who we are. And let's be honest, ladies and gentlemen, what happens when a new employee comes to work generally? I've seen it a lot of times. I'm not guessing this. The new guy comes to work, Bill, hypothetically the new waiter. Bill, and the manager makes his pathetic team speech. We're a team here, we work together. Working together is not a team. A team is a group of people who have a common purpose and help each other toward that purpose. So but Bill, the new waiter, that's what happens normally. The new waiter comes and Bill. No, we are a team here. And now work with Joe. He knows the ropes. I thought you were in the hotel business, not in the rope business, but somehow he knows ropes. So we turn over Bill to Joe. On the way to the kitchen, Joe tells Bill, this company is the worst. That's his orientation. Now, what do we possibly expect then? Then we make speeches, we have alignment. Well, no, there's no alignment. So what we did simply is that we made sure the first day, by the first day, I opened every hotel. The employees that started a new hotel or a takeover hotel that saw me basically first. They were waiting on the day of orientation all together. They were waiting there. It doesn't matter if that was Osaka or Shanghai or Berlin or Philadelphia or Hawaii. It doesn't matter. I went there. And I was there for 10 days from the initial orientation to the beginning of training. I helped. And I walked into the room, and there they're sitting all with the new employees, little nervous. And then comes this big shot from America, CEO and president of the company. He comes and, oh my goodness, what is going to happen? What is he going to say? And I came in to the room every time, and I told them, my name is Horst Schulze. I'm CEO and president of this company. I am very important. And there goes a shock through the room. You could see the shock looking, oh my gosh, what did I get myself into here? They look at me and they said, but so are you, you're important. As a human being, no one can claim importance over the next human being. And I don't claim that. I just want to tell you, we are all important as human beings. God has made us that way. You are all important. As far as your job is concerned, or my job, let me tell you something. If you don't come to work in 10 days when we open this hotel, and we don't wash dishes, we don't make beds, we don't check people in, we don't cook food, we have a disaster. Your job is very important. By the way, if I don't come to work, nobody will even know. And this is a fact. So we took them in, aligned them, and then I told them who we are. Here is our heart. Here is our soul. Here are our dreams. Join us for dreams. Join us to create excellence and not just work. Let us create excellence together and consequently define ourselves together as human beings, as managers, as employees, as people of excellence. By the way, about a little bit over a year ago, I was invited to the 5-star award dinner which Forbes magazine gives the awards from around the 5-star managers from around the world in New York. I was a guest. And then the Forbes guy gets off and said, by the way, Horst Schulze is in the room. And all the managers stood up and applauded. Did they really applaud me? No. They applauded the image that we created with Ritz-Carlton and later Capella hotels. That's what they applauded. Because that's what we created together, the right image, which is of value to everybody. And how about the employees? Well, I can tell you, even today, when a Ritz-Carlton employee looks for a job, and there are 100 others, the Ritz-Carlton employee gets it. Because of the image that we created together. And we defined ourselves. That we knew all the time, we defined ourselves. So we aligned everybody. And so that's what the orientation was. So we did the right selection. We did the right orientation. And on the second day of orientation, the first day we just told them who we are. And who is our guest? What do they want from us? Here, let's work together and create something together. We pointed out the purpose for them. Ladies and gentlemen, there cannot be, Aristotle said, if you're without purpose, you cannot have fulfillment in life. So why would I not give purpose to an employee that is my neighbor? Love your neighbor as yourself. Why wouldn't I give them purpose? Why would I just give them function? Ladies and gentlemen, the chair on which you're sitting is fulfilling a function. Why would we give our employees function rather than a purpose? And the function is only there. They're not there for the function. They're there for the purpose. The function only has to be fulfilled in order to accomplish the purpose. And the purpose is of value to all concerned. But of course, when you establish a purpose for your company, you have to question yourself, is this purpose, this future moment is that we work for, is this really good for all concerned? So we question ourselves when we establish our purpose early in the beginning. Is this truly good for us? Yes. Is it good for the investor? Clearly it was good. Is it good for the guest? Yes. Is it good for every employee? Yes. Is it good for society as a whole? Yes. In this moment, I had my direction of how to manage the company. In this moment, I had no more right to compromise for myself nor for anyone else. Because if I would have compromised against the investors, against the employees, against society. So I was very clear, I had no problem to let somebody go if it was necessary. Because I had no right to go against all. Because it was clearly identified, if that person doesn't help us to go there, in fact stands in the way, I have no right to compromise. Because the vision was good for all concerned. So establishing that, and then understanding the customer, aligning every employee behind the customer expectation, and to show them the value that it has, and give them honor and respect as ladies and gentlemen. We call them ladies and gentlemen and not employees. That's how we build the company one by one. And incidentally, the successes were dramatic after the first couple of difficult years. By the way, we prayed very heavy. The first couple of years in the Ritz-Carlton time were horrendous. I didn't tell Sherry, my wife, because she just had a baby. We couldn't sell our house in Chicago. We had debt, and it was disastrous. And it became worse and worse, and I thought we wouldn't be even in business anymore. So after a while, I had to tell her, because it was becoming so serious, I had to prepare her. So I said, Sherry, let's sit down. We made a mistake moving here. And she looked at me and said, why would you argue with God? We prayed on it. I said, okay, I will never argue with God in front of you again. and she said, maybe the job doesn't work, but we didn't make a mistake. We prayed heavy on it, and we did. So there, and then, of course, in the meantime, one success after the other. And I can tell you, verifiably, there isn't a hotel that we opened around the world that didn't become the leader in their market segment. Well, different cultures, many different languages. And in fact, I just had an invitation to come back to Osaka. The owners of the hotel invited me to come back to speak to everyone in their company and the hotel employees. I have nothing to do with Ritz-Carlton anymore because of the 20th anniversary. Around the world, total successes because of the several things that we did. Concentration on the market. Understanding the market, understanding the changes of the guest, constantly listen what the guest wants, and see the slight changes, and changes happen. We had to readjust many things in the organization together with the market. The total concentration on the employees, respecting them as ladies and gentlemen, and aligning them totally behind the dreams of the organization. And of course, the second day of orientation, we also had identified, if we want to be the leader in the world, what are the 20 things that we have to do superior to the competition? So we identified the 20 things that would have to happen in a hotel, superior to the competition. We identified those things. So the second day we taught those 20 points. We taught them very, very carefully the second time. And the third time we aligned them further. And third time, for example, we very careful taught problem resolution. Because I know problems will happen. And I know that if there is a problem with a guest and we don't correct it, they become terrorists. If I really correct it very well, they become ambassadors. So it's worthwhile to me right away to teach them problem resolution. We taught them the 20 points. We taught them problem resolution. We had totally aligned them to the company. And then we let them go to work. And the 20 points that we taught, every day you cannot go to work. Every day one of those points is repeated. You cannot go, no matter, mind you, we're a 24-hour business with many shifts. But you cannot go to work unless you listen to the message of one of the 20 points of today. Today it may be, I don't know anymore, I'm not there anymore, and I created after I retired from Ritz-Carlton. I retired traveling 250 days a year. My wife said, it is really time that you retire. It is really time. And finally I retired as soon as they allowed me to, because I had a contract. On a Friday, she picked me up with the kids and said goodbye, a few tears and laughter. We drove home and said, I'm free. And on Saturday, I thought about it, and I talked to my neighbor who also retired, much younger than me, and told him, why did you retire? He said, so I can do what I love. I love to play golf. I love to. I said, oh my gosh, I love to play hotel. So on Monday, I said to my wife, I'm going to do it one more time. She declared me insane immediately and said, this is outrageous, this is outrageous, and I realized she's right. This is crazy. And just finished on Friday. What's going on with me? And a couple of days later, I said, look, I know that's who you are. I will support you, whatever you're going to do. If you're going to do it, don't exaggerate, don't make it too big. I support you. So I went out and we started Capella Hotel Company. It's an ultra-luxury hotel company. I sold the company 2 years ago. I just finished a month ago a contract to still overlook the company. We started with a few luxury hotels. Ultra-luxury, what does it mean? We have, for instance, in Singapore, we are a few minutes away from the Ritz-Carlton. The Ritz-Carlton is a sensational hotel. I mean, it's a great hotel, and I think with fondness when I opened it and did training in there. It's just a great hotel. The Capella is a few minutes away. The Ritz-Carlton runs an average daily rate of about $400. We run an average daily rate of about $1,000. It's ultra luxury, but the smaller hotels that totally concentrate on the customer. We call every reservation and said, what can we do for you? So that's what we did afterwards. So, but what did I do there? A total success. And Capella, if they continue what they're doing, what we did, it will be known as the word for excellence. Excellence. And by the way, what is really excellence? What is really excellence? Excellence is if this thing that you created is functioning excellently, very well for what it was created. It may be a knife that cuts well, or a hotel room that does well and is beautiful, and so on. But excellence in human being is a different story. Human being excellence is, of course, you're functioning properly in what you're doing. You try to do the best in what you're doing in functioning. But a human being that is functioning excellence. And then there is in a human being relational excellence. And that's really what service is. Caring for the customer, be relation, look in them in their eyes, say welcome, make them feel well. Know that they're human beings that they should feel well. But of course the other thing in excellence is moral excellence. We all know that. And the fourth thing is spiritual excellence. And if we do the best that is possibly can be done, all four done, we are excellence as human beings. And we have that incorporates the relationship, incorporates love your neighbor as yourself. And goodness, why wouldn't our customers be our neighbors? Why wouldn't every employee be our neighbor? So rather than just giving your employees function, I remind you, hire them to be part of you. Not only is it the right thing, ladies and gentlemen, it's the moral thing to do. Good luck with that. Thank you very much.